Hey guys, how's it going? At a friend's place and they're doing some clean outs, and this is one of the machines. They don't know anything about it. They never had it running, but it's been sitting around from a tenant that rented before. It's an old generator. They gave a quick pull on the handle. It does pull over, but it doesn't feel like it has any compression. So we're gonna go throw that on the truck. We'll bring it back to the shop and see what we got. All right, now we're back at the office. We can get a better look at what we got. This is a strange looking setup. I've never seen a generator that was like so thin like that. Usually you have the engine, and the generator part is a barrel about 14 inches long, maybe 8-10 inches in diameter. Nothing what this looks like. I'd be curious. At some point we're going to pop this cover off. I want to see how they made stuff go together. It looks like it has 110 and 220. It's not a very big machine. It's only 6 horsepower. But 110 and 220, it's got a switch on the side of it right there. So we've got fuses and this whole extra fuse holder up in there. Flathead Briggs. See if we can figure out what year it is. I guess we're going to go here with the code. So 70 is going to be 1970, 8th month of 1970. So it's 54, 53, 54 years old. And I did pull it over. Sometimes when something has a heavy flywheel, it's kind of hard to tell if you have compression or not, but it did not feel very good. He said he was never able to have it running. He never had it running. I don't know if anybody was here before. It's kind of screwing around with stuff, maybe looking for a spark. Let's go see what we got in the gas tank. I need a light. I don't know if there's any. Go grab a light, take a peek in there. Going in. Not terrible. Old rust left behind, but the tank is looking fairly decent. Don't know that you put fuel in it if it has a rot hole or anything, but it's not. There's no old fuel in it left crudted behind. There's a bunch of crap on the side of the wall there. What do we got for oil? See if there's anything in that glass bowl. That's looking pretty dry, which is a good sign for the carburetor. And let's go see, where is the Earl on this thing? Somewhere. There you go. And let's see if there's anything in there. Yep. It's a little on the low side, but at least there's something in it. Alright, let's get ourselves set up and start doing a little bit of an assessment on it. Let's get the plug out of it, and we'll see if you have any compression on it. Probably stick our finger up over the plug hole. A little bit more, but we've got a kill switch here. I don't know what it has for output. I don't see anything saying. So McCullough is the manufacturer, made in New York. Do not chance switch position while being run. I guess don't go from 110 to 220 while it's going. Pick one and stay with it. Alright, let's go get you in a stand, grab a plug socket, get that out of there and see what we got. Yeah, I don't see any tag on it anywhere saying what the output of it is. My guess, generally go by the horsepower of the engine. I would say I had a 5 horse that was like 25 with a 28 spike, so maybe 3,000 watt. And we'll give herself a little finger feel. It's not great though. I'll probably dribble a little bit of oil down there. Let's get a plug in it and see if we have any chance of having a spark. And I'm going to go with up being on. Let's see if that does anything. Well, it's got spark. Let's see if that switch works. Yeah. Alright. Should I say it or not say it? I'm trying to make it easy on us. Probably should still take a peek inside that car before just putting fuel in it. But let's just start investigating a little. That is soaked in oil. I don't believe it's supposed to be soaked in oil. Yeah. I don't know if what happened there. And it's got a breather. Sometimes there's a breather that comes up into the tin, but for some reason. So it could have been on its side maybe too, maybe it ran. It wasn't with me, and I don't think it had moved from that position in a long time. And we would want it on that voltage anyway. Alright, let's I'm probably going to take it off that dolly so it's not trying to roll around so much. And we'll get a compression tester, we'll pop it in there real quick and just see what we got, and it will dribble a little bit of oil, see if it improves. Alright, let's give her a chug, see what she's got. Should stay still for us. Get my foot on her. £40. I don't think these engines have a decompression valve. That's not great. That may be an issue why they're sitting up on a branch. Let's go dump a little bit of oil in it, and we'll give her a kick and see if it gets any kind of improvement. And we'll just give her a little tease. All the oil does is go around where the rings are. So if it's leaking around the rings, it tries to help seal it up a little bit. Let's give her a couple of chugs and have it kind of blend in. Throw that back in. One thing I see too, if you're looking where the exhaust and the intake is right here, I see some burning. I don't know if it has an exhaust leak in the muffler, which I don't see. Possibly maybe it has a blown head gasket. And it's blowing right out of there. Try it again. Get a leg up. Hi-ya! Okay. Like 50 pounds. I'm not quite sure what these engines have, but 50 does sound fairly low. Let's throw a little bit of fuel in it, and we'll give her a yank, and we'll see if she fires over. That plug looks a little weird too. You just look at all the carbon that's around the back of it and the color of it. It's a tad white. Kind of like somebody went in there with a pick and cleaned it. I don't know. Go get some gas in it. See if she lives. Let's give her a little tease. Like that. It should default to wide open, which I think it is. Yeah, the throttle's full throttle. The governor is telling it to do that. Alright. And let's go flip that wire up for Spock. See if she'll cough for us. Try to get a good like speed pull on it. There she goes. I hear a chunk. I'm going to grab some clamps. I'm going to clamp it down the bench so I can give her a really good yank on it without the machine moving. All right, try it now. We're getting a foot up to hold it. Come on, baby. Lots to go. I think she's done crapped out of fuel. Let's go give her another squirt. Plus the oil doesn't help it, you know, it kind of dilutes the fuel. Yeah, kind of suspecting the head gasket a little bit. Or I had an exhaust leak at some point and somebody put a new muffler on it with all that burning that's right there. Let's try that again. I think that's choke off. Lots to go. Then it peters out. And try it. That doesn't want to go. Let's I'm gonna go pop the base of this air cleaner off. You can see what's happening with the choke. we could probably put a charge of air in it and see if we have air leaking out around the head gasket. Maybe we'll do that. It has a lot of resistance too. Shouldn't be that hard to pull over. Let's, I want to see what's in here anyway. Let's go pop that cover off right there. We'll see how that generator is set up. Drum roll, please. Hanging out inside here. Well, that is a funky setup. Might be why it has so much drag on it too. What a weird. So it has two plates that is spinning in between. Let's turn that. See if that turns or is fixed. No, that's fixed. That's the windings. Huh. For signs of water damage. I don't see any water lines anywhere, like it was sitting on the floor and it flooded out. That is just weird, huh? You ever saw what the inside of a regular generator looks like? Oh, it's definitely a new one to me. Yeah. Let's try swapping that plug out for a dry one. Get something a little bit better. Not that it looks terrible. Go throw another plug in there. We'll throw another shot of fuel in it, see if anything happens. It kind of feels like you're trying to pull over a chipper. Same things at that big flywheel in them. And they really fight you. Let's see if this one plays any better. What else we got? Harley! But then it just burns up the fuel and it's not enough. I'm starting to think it doesn't have enough compression to do what it's supposed to be doing. So to move forward ahead, let's yeah, let me get that, we'll backfeed it with compressed air. We'll see if we can see where it's pissing out of, if it is. Actually, you could probably use that because that's the same as a air chuck. Problem is, you kind of want to knock the air down to about 20 pounds because it's going to want to fight you. It's going to want to go to bottom dead center every time you put a charge on it. And I don't have a way to do that. My air compressor, the regulator failed, so I took it off. Let's go take an air gun. We'll shoot it in there. We'll let it go to bottom dead center. We'll see if we can try to find a spot where both valves are closed. Because what you want is both valves closed. And with that, if it's leaking around a valve, you either hear air will be hissing out of the intake, or air will be hissing out of the carburetor, or air will be hissing out of the head gasket. Either one of those, if it's got bad rings, it'll be hissing out of the breather coming out of it, or if you take the oil plug off, you'll hear it coming out of the bottom of the crankcase. Of course, my air gun's leaking. So it's probably going to want to spin. So right now the exhaust valve is open. You hear the air rushing out of it. And if I rotate it, the intake valve is open. Try to find the spot. There we go. Doesn't feel terrible. A tad perplexed. Let's go take that intake off on the side over there. I want to make sure that I have enough fresh air coming in. But with a squirt of fuel in it, it should be enough to get it to kick over. Again, the drag of the generator, I think, is slowing it down. But let's get this off of here. Yeah, I popped that off there and I had the choke closed. So that is open. Kind of a little deceiving. The arrow going that way. Well, I guess if you read it correctly, that way would be choke. So there's that. All right, I'm going to give her one last shot with fuel. And we'll see if we can get her to cough over. And my goal is I want to be able to plug something in, like a light bulb or something. And when we do it, if it lights the light bulb up, then we know we got something happening. Okay, get a squirt of fuel. Switches up. Put you in the stand, give her a yank again. All right. Popping back through the carburetor. Not having it. I'm just going to check for spark one more time, make sure we didn't lose anything. One of you would care to hold that. Yeah, nice light spark. Alright. We're going to pop that head off pretty soon. Oh. Come on, rev. And it's out of fuel again. All right. It should do much more than that, and it's not. For what reason, I'm not sure. Again, it's full throttle, so it's not like we were impeding the airflow going into it. That burn marks have me kind of perplexed, though. To get it off, you have to get the pull starter back away. Am I showing my age by huffing and puffing? Pull start. So you can get a couple of bolts. There might be one up here. That might be in the way. See if we get this pulled away. We'll get these off of here. Get the fuel tank pulled away. I want to get the head off of it. I have a feeling we have a head gasket that might be a little on the iffy side. The bolt out of that pull start, we should be able to wiggle that out. There we go. No mice. Good sign. Alright, so we got, I think we have to get the gas tank out of our way because the bracket leans up over it. So I think it's got a bolt on the bottom and then 3 across the top. This should slide out. Plus we have to get the handle off. So I'm just going to buzz them all out all the way around. I think I got one more a little lower on the tank, like I said. Let's go find that one. Actually, it was 2 bolts. Let's get that out of the way. And let's go in. We didn't need a head gasket. Oh, we got one more bolt. Slacker. You're missing one. Let's see what the wonders have for us. Don't see an obvious blown head gasket. A lot of carbon. Let's see what the other side of it looks like. Yeah, a little burnt right there. Could have been leaking a little bit. You see like the shading blowing through. But not bad. Let's see how it's like it's all darker in this area. I don't think that's what our problem was though. I have a feeling maybe it's just carbon built up around the valves. Let's go take a look at that piston. My scores are in the wall. pretty good right there. Yeah, definitely, you definitely catch a nail on that one right there. Yeah, all the way around. I wonder if carbon actually kind of came up and a chunk of it got caught in the bore and did that. I'm going to take a wire wheel and clean up some of this nonsense off of here. And you can get the valves off if you want. Let's go see. Oh, they got a lot of rock to them. See if we can get it fixed. That's the guides that are in it. Let's go get the intake valve up in the air. Yeah, it's got a decent amount too. Plus I'm looking at the seat underneath it. Alright, so let's go take a wire wheel. Let's go clean off a bunch of this crap. Clean off the top of that piston. Not that that really should make any kind of difference. We'll leave it right there. Clean it all off and put it back together so you can get the compression to kind of come up a little bit better. I'm having a feeling it's kind of maybe around these. That and, you know, of course the scoring that's going on. I think it's a little bit of everywhere. Let's I think we're gonna have to get those valves right out of there. Kind of clean up underneath there. And to do so, there's like a little valve cover on the side, and to release the keepers, which is under the carburetor. It's that right there, and that's what holds the two valves down in place. We're gonna lift them up and probably can clean up the seats that are on them. So let's get the carburetor off of there. Let me look and see what we got for linkages on it. And it's running straight down to a governor. So this is the only linkage hooked up, is that one right there, going down to the governor. So we should be able to disconnect that once we get it unscrewed, and that should give us enough room. Probably take the muffler off too, just get it out of our way. Screwdriver in there. Come on. Definitely a tight fit. We may have to leave that there. Cut for me. Yeah, it definitely has a lot of oil down on the intake valve. We did dump oil in it, but it shouldn't have gone down in there. Let's see if we can get that muffler off. There we go. Even just for visual purposes, you know. And we got to get that valve cover off of there. It looks like a couple of, I don't know what they are, but they're tiny. I clamped it so we can get a more of a close-up instead of reaching over the bench. That one. And that one. And I should have a gasket on it too. It's also kind of like the breather for it. Crankcase will build up pressure if it doesn't have a place for the bottom of the crankcase to vent. That's what that tube is, and that tube just goes back to the intake and it draws it back in again. Modern cars have that also. Everything. It'll have a PVC valve on it, but let's see if we can not destroy the. We'll leave the gasket pieces where they are. All right, let's go take a peek up under and we see what the valves are doing. So we need. Why does that look weird? No, it's just pushed down. Let's look at the stem. All right, so if we get them both in the down position. Just that stem looks kind of funny to me that they're not level, you know. Let's go get a little tool, stick our tool in there, and we want to try to get that spring to push upward, and then there's little keepers underneath it that hold it into place, and we'll slide them out. We should be able to lift the valve up out of its location. Let's work on the exhaust one first. Sometimes you don't have keepers. Sometimes the The keeper is the shell that's on top. I'll let you know in a second. Nope, that one's got them. Now we just want to kind of get in there with a little pick or whatnot, knock them free. They'll fall off. And just kind of grab them with the magnet, get them out of the way. Like that. There they are. You know, when we back off on that, that valve should be able to lift up. Sometimes the carbon will build up on the stem also, and the valve won't be able to lift up out of there. Let's go see. Yeah, we're going to look at the surface. That valve has a lot of crap on it. The exhaust valve does take a much worse hit. And it's looking pretty hammered. I'm looking to see if it's like somewhat oval too. It does have the appearance of it. And then the other part's the seat, how bad the seat is. But for now, let's go get the other valve out of it. And we'll leave those in place. They're not hurting anything. Let's go get the second set. Yeah, some of the smaller engines, like the 3-horse, 2 and 3 horse, they don't have keepers. They just the metal itself is the keeper. And that might be the case with this one. And then you just kind of slide it to the side. Let me take a peek at that one. Yeah, so that's what that one is. You just kind of slide it to the side. And the hole gets larger. Stop it. Now let's go get. There it goes. So this one had one of each. Intake valve. There's not as much heat on an intake valve, so a lot of times it doesn't take as much abuse. It definitely just has a bunch of crud on it. Yeah, let's go look at the seats. See what they're doing. Sometimes too, if they overheat, everything's aluminum on this. There you go. Sometimes they overheat the seat, which is this part right here that the valve rests against, will loosen right up and pop right out of the seat. It's a little weird right there. Let's go I'm going to take a wire wheel now and go clean some of this crap off of here. I have a feeling maybe, especially on the exhaust valve, I wonder if we just weren't getting a very good seal on that. It does look fairly shiny all the way around, but the valve didn't. The valve had, where'd it go? The valve definitely was showing where it was having some issues, like right there, all right there. Like that looks, it's very shiny. Although it's dirty, it looks like it was making a decent seal until it gets to like right there. Oh, that looks crappy. All right, so I'm gonna go wire wheel the valves, those. We'll take a peek at what we got and go from there. I got them cleaned up. And the intake doesn't look too bad. The exhaust has kind of like a weird pattern on it. I don't know if it shows up or not. It's like a little oval, plus there's a little bit of a ridge on it. right there. Let's go drop them back in. A lot of times what happens too is, so those surfaces are beating against each other and they'll wear. The seat will wear down and the valve can wear down. So you lose what's called valve clearance. And if you lose valve clearance, the valve won't shut all the way. And the only adjustment for that is you actually got to take the valve stem and you grind it a little. And I'm just going to go and make sure like that valve. See how this one's like it's pretty chalky, the intake. And again, the intake takes a much less abuse because there's less heat there. I can kind of feel where it's really grindy. The exhaust valve, get up in here. I'm kind of spinning it, and then still seems like it should have a little bit of valve clearance there. I think there's not enough. Like it's almost there, but it's being held open a little bit. It should be a little bit harder to turn than that. Get an example, maybe. The intake valve. So I'm going to go pop the springs out from underneath it. And what you do is you put a feeler gauge. There's like a lifter down in the valley there. If you can get these out. There you go. That's our intake side one. I want to show you the clip that was on there that I was talking about. So that's how that one works. So there's no retainer. It's just an offset in the middle of it. Get rid of the spring. Offset in the middle of it. So the center is what holds it. You push it down, you pull to the side, and what allows it to come off. Whereas the exhaust valve had that keepers holding it. So that's just going to have a straight hole. Come on out. That's just going to have a straight hole in the center of it that the keepers hold. Wedge down on it. Alright, so I'm going to go drop them back in. And I'm going to take a feeler gauge and see if I have proper clearance. I haven't looked it up. A good valve clearance on anything is generally, it's like between 4 and 6 thou. On most everything. Now, of course, it'll fluctuate from there, but generally that's what most stuff is. I was concerned about that exhaust valve. So I'm going to get a feeler gauge. We're going to go drop it down. Now that stuff's out of the way. Right there. And we're going to measure the space. Get you maybe a little bit less light. There you go. So we're going to go measure the space between those two surfaces. And then we're going to measure the space between those two surfaces. We find that we need a little bit more room. We're going to take and just hit it on the grinder and knock the tip of that stem down a little bit. There, it does seem like it's a little tight to me though. I'm going to start with like a 4 thou feeler gauge. And that one's clearing it, but I'm going to rotate it. I'm not sure what part of the cam I am on. There's the tight spot. Okay. That's tighter than 4. And I don't know, it may have a decompression valve in it, and I'm just chasing a wild goose. What do we got here? This is 1.5 thou. It's the smallest one I have on the feeler gauge set. That's at like 1.5 thou. I'm going to look up and see if it has a decompression. Will be on a camshaft that's inside there. There'll be a little something to it's got good clearance. Something to bump it at a certain point of the RPM range. When it's down so low, it'll hold the valve open a little bit longer. Usually it's the exhaust valve, and holds that valve open for a little bit of period of time to knock some of the compression down. But even right now, that's the exhaust valve and that's 1.5 thou, and that's already dragging on that. I'm going to try looking up what the spec is supposed to be on that, and maybe we'll go from there. We take a hair off of each one of those. So I looked up the actual spec, what it's supposed to be, and it's 8 and 10. 8 on the intake, 10 on the exhaust. That's where you should be. And it has to be a 1/4 inch down past top dead center. You see the pistons down a little bit in there. Again, because of the decompression valve. So that is 8 thou. That's a little too tight. I think I measured it, and we actually 3 is where it's at. 5, it's even tight on a 5. Here's a 5. It's tight on a 5. I think it's at 3. Exhaust seems to be okay. Measure that. It is at 10. Let's go grab a 10. Yeah. So 10 is right on the money on that one. This one, the intake, is a little too tight. So we're going to go take a hair off the stem of that valve and try to give us a little bit more room. And that, as the engine's kind of going around in a circle, if the valve with the decompression valve if it holds it, maybe better if I spin it. So if the piston's coming up and the valve is closing, let me get you on the right cycle. So there's the valve. Intake valve is open. It's allowing fuel to come in. Am I pulling it the right way? Let's go this way. All right, so piston's up. It's going to try and suck air in because the valve is open, sucking air, fuel in. It's filling up this chamber. Valve closes. It's not closed yet, not closed yet, not closed yet. Now it just closed right there. Well, if you take a couple thou out of that, that valve is going to be closing here instead of here and trying to bring your compression numbers up. So I do think that is kind of what is happening. So like I said, I'm going to take a little bit on the grinder and knock off a little bit on that stem and hopefully give us a little bit more room for compression. All right, we knocked a little bit off. Let's go get it. Plus, you got to know too, like when the spring and everything is on it too, it actually tries to help pull it down a little bit more. All right, so we don't want this stroke. We want this one. Go up and then back down a 1/4 inch, right to that ridge line. Let's see what we got for a number now. We're at 5. I'm going to call that 5. I'm going to take a hair more off of it, not much more. Let's go run it around once and let's go see where the valve is. Filling up with fuel. It's shutting off. Still no compression, still no compression. No compression. Right there. Kind of where it's shutting off. I'm going to give it a little bit more. Like I said, when the valve spring is on there, it does help pull it down a little bit, but I'm going to knock a little bit more off of that. Yeah, I took a little more off. A 504 go slide through there fairly free. I think we're probably at 6. I think it said, let's go, here's a 7. I said the spec is supposed to be, yeah, so 7 is still stuck in there. I'm going to take a little bit more off. I don't want to go too far because I don't want to screw up the decompression part of it. We'll knock a little bit more. It's a tight 7. Stop it. I'm going to go put it back together and we'll put the head on it. Again, I don't think we're going to get a good compression number using a compression gauge because of the decompression valve part of it. But when I was pulling it over, it was even kind of like chugging back out the intake. So I do have a feeling that's what some of our issue is. Again, we still have some scoring in the piston in the sleeve, but we're just having fun, see if we can get it to run. I think I want to take a minute and, I'll probably just left both valves, but that dark spot on the intake valve right there, generally means is where it was escaping in that one area. You can even see, I don't know if I got you too close, but you see where the shiny pattern is, and all of a sudden right where that dark spot is, the pattern changes width on it. Actually kind of gets fatter right there. So I'm going to go lap them in, see if that'll help us at all, and then we'll put them back together. Don't know how well this antique lick and stick suction cup is going to work. What I've been doing recently on, like, say, overhead valves, I've been putting a drill on the other end, just using a drill to try to get it. And there comes the train. Let's try and get some of that compound on there. Let that flop down. I'm gonna go lick my tool. Put moisture on it, see if it'll work for us. I'm just gonna keep working that. Lift it up. So I'm going to do that to both of them and work that surface. Doesn't have to go crazy, just a little bit. Try to mate those two surfaces, make them kind of round and match to each other. And then make sure you're going to rinse all that off, because you don't. It's grinding compound essentially, so you don't want that going inside there. Wouldn't want to hurt the bore. That scratched up bore. And yes, I'm hitting them both. I lift up in between because it pushes the grinding material out of the way. So you lift it up, kind of let it run down and let it refeed. You want that. You don't want it where all the material is pushed out. So you lift up on it, kind of like drops back in. You hear the sound difference too. Like when I lift up, when I first start, you hear it grinding, and then it goes to smooth. And at the end, it's all pushed out, so it's not doing anything, but you lift up on it and let it drop back in. And so let's go rinse that crap out of there. A little bit of brake clean. Rinse all that out of there. Where's my air gun? Where'd you put it? I saw you. What'd you do? Go put them back together. Yeah, doing the exhaust, the intake was no problem. Just pretty much slide it in there and clip it over. But here's the keepers on here, and grease is your friend. Hopefully they stay put when we let it back down. There we go. So I took a feeler gauge to the intake, and of course, like I said, when you put the spring on it, it actually does feel a bit tighter. And I think we were at 7 before, but it's more like between 6 and 5. Again, the spec is 8. We're gonna go try it. Here's the 7. Yeah, 7's tight. Let's go. Really at. I probably should have measured them at first. Here's a 3. I want to say it was at like 1.5. Here's a 3. 3's fine. Like I said, I think we're around 5. So we definitely made a change in it enough where it should make a difference in how it operates. Yeah, go with 5. Yeah. So it's a snug 5. Worst case, we can go and open it up a little bit more, but let's go pop it back together real quick and see if we get a different response out of it by dumping a little bit of fuel in it and kicking her over. All right, say it with me. Click. 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 Alright, and just once around, make sure they all feel about the same. Alright. Let's go throw that pull start on there and give her a tug, see how it feels. Alright, pretty much put it all back together the same as what it was. So just want to do apples to apples, you know, to make sure everything's set up. So just give her a couple of pulls. And let's go dribble some fuel in it, with a plug in it. See if we get any different response out of it. I'm hoping to get like a little bit of like a run in a red and then just die a little bit anyway. Let's see what that does. Yeah, that sucks. Let's throw the compression gauge back in it again, see if it made any difference. Again, it's got a decompression valve, so it does not play well with a conventional sense of trying to figure out what compression an engine has. Because you don't know until it spins up what the actual number is. Let's see if we get anything different though. We were at 45 before, 46. Worse. We did put that oil in there though too, so. Yeah, it's worse. Well, that's not good. I kind of want to grind that valve a little bit more, but I'm wondering if maybe we should work with the fuel system. Take that carb off, see what we have inside that bowl while we're here, and possibly feed some fuel to it, just to see if it'll run off the bowl. It really should, you know, when I dribble fuel in that, it should kick off and like fire a couple of times, but sometimes not. All right, let's go pop that carb apart. All right, so on this style carb, you have to take that needle out of it first, because it goes through a passage that will crash into, oh. We got crud coming out of it. So there's a deeper screw that's in there. I think the screwdriver's gonna be too fat. Yeah, we get one that's ground down to fit. There we go. Hopefully that'll walk out of there. It's definitely the oddball machines I like kind of checking out just to see what the thought process was. Usually, if it's an oddball for a reason because they didn't work very well compared to like a conventional anything. Whether it be like real popular, like all the 70s toys that came out to go ride on, and they all kind of came and didn't last very long. Well, that's pretty cruddy. I don't know how much fuel is going to go through the center of that. That needs some love. Let's get the body screws up. Yeah, I picked up a couple of machines that are really unique. Really unique. I'm betting if 1,000 people watch on one of the machines, one person has probably seen it or heard of it. Probably none of you have seen it, because even when I looked it up, I couldn't find, other than a brochure, I really couldn't find much more on it. So that one should be coming up fairly soon. All right. Get in there. I guess they'll tell us how it was put away. Come on, break loose. Got all the screws, right? I wonder if somebody cemented it. I see like... Yeah, let's give her... There she goes. Yeah, it's got some rust in it. Definitely need to come apart and get cleaned. So let's go make sure our float still floats. We'll throw a bunch of these parts in the cleaner. And I don't know if you want to look at something else while we're doing this. Brass floats have a tendency to crack and or leak. I'm going to get that gasket off of there. I don't think I have one of these in my stash. Do we need to clean the upper half? Is there anything up there that we can't clean with just like a little bit of carb cleaner? Let's go take out the, so this is the idle. It was out about a half a turn. This is the idle speed air fuel mix, and the other one that we took out, the long one that we took out, this one, the this part of it right here is the main air fuel mix. You can see how it pinches off the passageway. You run that screw in, it kind of chokes off how much fuel can get in there, and then back the screw out, more fuel, run the screw in, less fuel. I'm gonna go clean that on a wire wheel. We'll throw that in the ultrasonic. I don't know if we're going to screw with this because I don't want to mess with that gasket, because there's a fuel passage through here. I think it is this right here. There's a passage that if you get a gasket leak around it, it screws up. So let's try not to screw it up, huh? You got our money's worth out of this can. Yeah, we'll just open those ports up. Get in there. Clean. I got it back together. Got a alternate fuel system up top, fuel tank, and it is dripping out of the carb. Let's give her a yank, see what happens. Go throw that muffler in there. That doesn't set us on fire. But that carb is flooding over. Off we go. Leaking at the seam. Let's go shut the fuel off. Thing being the style of carburetor it is, it can't flood itself over because it has to draw it upward. Let's see if we can more zap on the screws. Sure, a new gasket would definitely help. Clean the needle and seat up best as possible. All right, let's keep trying. a little bit of choke. Full choke. I'm pulling the bench. And you guys. Back you up a little. Alright. I don't know about you, I think I'd invest in a windmill. Just wants to go though. I'm hoping it kicks and gets past the decompression. Let's see the RPMs get up. Pretty much doing the same thing when we dribbled fuel down it. Can't get a breather. I do feel like maybe opening the intake valve a little more, or possibly, I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure if we can get some kind of big ass drill on there to spin it. We could try that, I guess. It may spin the nut right off though. Let's go take that bolt out of it, see if it's right or left hand thread. Yeah, it's not gonna work for us. It's just gonna loosen up if we try spinning it. I'll give her a couple more tugs on it, see if we can get anything out of it. Sounds like it went silent. Let's go. So now it's wet. Come on. Grab you, bitch. Gonna do it again. Load it up. Load it up a couple times. Kind of choke off. Back the air fuel mix out a little bit more. Cover it up. Let's go work out. So I took a bunch of the pull start back off. I just want to take a look at the flywheel key. Generally a generator would not have this problem. I was looking for a shear, possibly of this key, and that would throw the timing out between the crankshaft and the flywheel, because the flywheel is also the electronics. There's points that are behind here that can get screwed up. I'm going to pop this flywheel off anyway, just to kind of take a look at those points. Not that we don't have spark, but I'm just going to see if there's anything else that's a little out of the ordinary before I go through the trouble of opening that valve a little more. Again, it should run. Get that cover off of there. personal with it. Cap looks about right. I wouldn't say that's an issue. I am going to run a set of point file across it. Yeah, not that it seemed much of an issue, but just wanted to go check on it while we had all the pull start back off of it again. All right, I'm going to drag some across that. We'll put that back together. Maybe try it once or twice more, but I think we have to work with the intake valve. All right, let's give it one last shot before we tear it apart. Why? I saw a spark come from the back here. I'm not quite sure what caused it. Just fire up though, huh? It like arced. Somewhere in here was a spark that arced. I don't know if one of these plates touched this or something was bouncing around inside there that caused it. I do see like something was rubbing there, huh? I don't think that cover touches anything, does it? No, I don't see anything on there. Yeah, something blew out a spark. Could even be. And then it just kind of like lost all its power again, didn't it? Just seemed like it flailed off. Let's go give her another shot, see if she'll come back. I started leaning out the mixture. Have the gas off. Let's go fire it up, see if it'll go. Just teasing us now. Now it's just screwing with us. Then there's that. Oh, like it just doesn't have enough balls to go. I'm gonna give her some choke. Then get. So I wanted to run, but it didn't run with any balls to it, did it? It just like, it was lethargic, just trying to, it wasn't even making power, and it was just barely able to try to get the RPMs up. I think we gotta screw with that valve some more. Does it hurt, right? Actually, may take a break and we'll hit it again in the morning. Fuel's off, fuel's off. Let's kill the light. And I'm going to contemplate over the evening. And you can contemplate over the next 30 seconds. Let me know what you come up with. Alright, one more time before we go home. Gas back on. That's full throttle. Let's put the camera on the other side, see if there's anything happening over there. Like I said, I saw the sparks that kicked out of there. You guys weren't able to see it. I'm going to richen it up. Try backing off the throttle. I'm going to try to go with the idle. Almost like it makes no difference. Either that or just the decompression valve is not shutting off. All right, that's it. I'm tapping out. All right, so it's the next day. I kind of thought about it a little bit, and not much has really changed in my opinion. I still want to take that intake valve back out. We'll grind it a little bit more, see if we can get some out of it. It just seems like the engine is worn to the point where it just does not make enough power to spin that heavy flywheel. It just can't overcome it. I also don't know if this assembly draws more energy when it's not creating power compared to a regular generator. Regular generator, it has mass to it, but there's no load on it if you're not creating power. I don't know if this is any different. Just feels like it takes an awful lot. My arm's hurting me just from trying to pull the thing over yesterday. Yeah, I'll blame it on that. So I don't know if there's just something in here that constantly is drawing power to do whatever this assembly or style of generator is, and the engine's just so wore it just can't overcome that. All right, we're babbling. Let's get the cylinder head back off, get the valve back out of it, and take a little bit more off. Maybe look at that bore while we're in there. Without further ado, let's wrench. Yeah, so you can wiggle that valve out of there. Got to figure out which way the keeper is. That's got to come towards us. We're almost there. There it is. All right, let's go pop that valve out of there. Knock a little bit more off. Let's see if that'll help us. I grind that valve down. Let's look at that bore like we were talking about. You can definitely see how many scratches are in it all the way around. So I really kind of think that we're leaning more towards that being the problem, that it just can't maintain compression around the sides of it. And I mean, you could feel and hear my nail trying to drag over them. It should be like that. Instead, so right here is real bad. The light's picking it up. But yeah, she's pretty chewed. Definitely has some hours on it. But at that point, you know, what are you going to do? Put bigger piston rings in it? It's just not worth chasing. It's essentially a $20 engine at a flea market. But I kind of want to just get it running to see if the generator part would do. Yeah, let's go pop that back together, see what happens. Maybe. So I'm in that same position, you know, 1/4 inch pass, and I think I overdid it. That's 8 thou, sloppy. But we're human. It's 11 thou. Yeah, I'm up around like 11 or 12. Oh well. So I may have screwed it up, but got to break some eggs, I guess. Let's go pop it back together and give it one last try. All right, see what happens. Just actively dripping fuel. Let's go give her a prime shot. See, the pulsar's not liking it. Get rid of the choke. Come on, baby. And unfortunately, come on, baby. Leave it for a second. See if we'll come up at RPM. It's full throttle right now. We should plug something into it. We got a light bulb or something. Nothing yet. I think the RPMs have to come up. Yeah, we're not making any. Definitely went in the right direction. I'm gonna throw the gas back on. Just get around out of gas. Try working with that air fuel mix. If you go too much, it's going to die. You need around 3,600 RPM. Got nothing. Come on, baby. Rev up. Go a little more. If you go too much, it's going to die. That sounds about 2,500 RPM. Keep going up. Go grab a light bulb. That's not good. Yeah, we sprung a leak. Let me go put you down. I'm gonna take that gas tank. Yeah, it's cooking itself. Whatever that drag is on that. Oh, it burnt. It kicked the coils right out of it. No shit. It looked like the glue broke loose. That's probably why I had so much drag and I wouldn't want to rev up, and where the sparks were coming from the other day. All right, let me get this situation under control before we catch a fire, and then we'll pop that apart and see what happened. You hear it? All right, we're gonna let that puppy cool down. It wasn't making any power, obviously. Not quite sure what the setup is behind it. We'll let it cool down. We'll unbolt this. We'll see what's happening behind here. Funky, huh? I thought it was just like a set of coils that went all the way around it. I didn't think there would be something like that, like a pack on the side of it. Huh. And I just started getting, started revving higher and higher. So I think it's a combination of two. The engine wasn't making enough power to overcome it, and then whatever was going on here just had too much drag. Funky. All right, I'm gonna go air us out, let that cool off, and then we'll unbolt that. All right, let's crack her open. It smells in here like when a ballast resistor goes in a fluorescent light. That cookie smell to it. Let's get rid of the little wires. My light is flipping out. We'll go change our light out. As you were. Okay, so we want to get at least these two out of our way for now. I guess you gotta loosen 3 of them up to get it out of there. Question is, did this just happen from sitting, or was it put away because it failed? I guess we're about to find out right now, right? So this is like an insulator, whatever this is. Oh yeah, the whole thing just spit right out of it. Well, there's your problem. That's why it had so much drag to it. The coils in the back gave up the ghost. Look at that carnage. So my guess is that is Let's keep going. Let's go take this one off, and we'll take the flywheel off after that. We'll kind of see how that, it looks like it's 2 halves. I see a dividing, well, it was a dividing plate in between them. That's probably what was wrapped around the coil. I wonder if there's one on this side and then another one on that side. This one might be still complete. We can kind of see how it was meant to be. All right, let's get that one off. Well, I still got good engine parts left over. I'll have to take them all the way out. And this one's stuck too. I wonder if it was supposed to be glued to this. God. There we go. So there's, I'm just going to cut them off. There's little tabs. These are probably what excite the field. I'm not going to worry about them. Just going to cut them off. I don't feel this is going to be coming back to life. Alright, there's a before and after, huh? So, I'm kind of thinking maybe that was already like that. I wonder if we could look back in the old footage if we see like burn marks at all when we were looking at it, if that was already pre-existing. I don't remember it kicked out like this. I wonder at some point if this whole assembly just kind of, if the glue joints let go. You know, no, it was like that, and it just kind of fell out of there. That winding was just maybe drawing. Maybe it thought it was drawing power, and that's why it was so hard to turn over. Like we're talking about the resistance, where it cut into all the wires. That's probably where it started when I saw the sparks the first time. Yeah, she wasn't going to do well, huh? All right, let's get that flywheel off there. See if that'll come off. We'll get rid of this and get a better peek of what's happening inside. Plus, we'll see what shaft is on a motor, whether it's got a tapered shaft or a straight shaft. Straight shaft could be used for like a mini bike. You're gonna push off it. Looks like it's got a setup to run a thread in there, kind of like a motorcycle. A lot of motorcycle flywheels have threads on the inside to pop the flywheel off. You can see it right in there. I'm gonna try to get a regular puller on that. How about a 5/8 bolt? There we go. There should be a shoulder inside that. Would probably just run that with the impact gun. See if we get it to pop off. You know, put a little bit of grease on the end of that. Give it something to slide on. A little lube for the tip. We'll get an impact gun. We'll run that in. And that should pop it off. Let's see what other kind of surprises are behind it. All right, I'm gonna grab a socket for that. There it goes. And what we got there? So it's a hole. The whole thing's gonna get rid of that, huh? The whole thing, it's two halves coming together. Eesh, that's heavy. So it's a double flywheel. Let me get this half out of it. Let's go set this down on the bench. Over here. Man, got some weight to it. So it is a somewhat bit of a tapered shaft, but we could always either put a clutch or a sprocket on there and or here. So it is kind of still usable as an engine. Bet you pulls over a lot easier now. Yeah, look at the size of that flywheel. So how did that transfer power? So that was it. You would think it would be a little bit more beefy. It's just directly to the posts that were on it. You would think it would go to some kind of regulation. Like, how did it regulate 120 volts? Huh. Yeah, you would think you would see beefier wires than that coming off of it. It's not that big of a unit, so maybe not. But yeah. It's just 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I don't see them going to anything that goes to the fuses, goes to the gauge. Yeah, I don't see anything that regulated it. Do you? RPM was just nothing controlled the RPM of the engine from the generator part. It was just all whatever the governor was, and 60 hertz would have been 3600 RPMs is what it would have ran at. Weird. What a weird setup. Oh, that's why we took it apart, right? Go see what makes it tick. All right, let's go see if we can slide that out of there and just take a quick peek and see how bad, or try to come up with a idea of what had happened. All right. Yeah, I was just sitting in there. So I wonder if, like, the original failure was just maybe the glue that was holding it to this plate failed on the other side, and it just started grounding itself out. It's aluminum too, aluminum winding. And then this thing, holy. What's the deal with the fins? So that's got to have a coil inside of it. Maybe this has windings in it. Maybe, maybe not. Like, what's the I guess that's just for cooling fins. I don't know. I don't see a way to kind of peek inside that. Kind of seems like it's wrapped. These are copper. This is copper right here, the outer shell. I don't think we're going to hurt it. You want to take a whiz wheel? We'll put a slice in them. See what's inside. So my guess is it would just be magnets that are in there, but this thing's so odd. I have no idea how it functions. Let's go. See if we do two and kind of pull back a little section. There's just, I think it's just encapsulating magnets is all it is. I don't believe there's going to be windings underneath there. Unless you kind of tear down the inside face of it. I don't think we're going to be able to see a side profile. That looks kind of like the side of a magnet though. Let's go get ourselves something to see if it'll stick. Just like a bolt or something. Yeah. Yeah, so it's got a magnet. The magnet face is probably in that way. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so there's a magnet this way and this way. Nothing there, nothing there. Oh, you can split this apart. It kind of looks like they welded it together. There's one piece. Yeah, it's all kind of glued together with a metal glue gun. All right, well there's that. What do we got for a mess happening over here? Let's see how it runs without the generator. Still should have enough fuel to go. Get rid of some of the rattles. Let's get rid of this. One's gonna kill us. Let's go drop it on its side. Let that one roll away. Contact. There's some choke. Starts a lot easier with all that drag on it, huh? I still think it's gonna have some issues. It's probably running at 80% of its power, but it does still run. Well guys, I feel that brings us to the point of the video. We can't go any further. So I'm kind of thinking about tearing the engine down and seeing what that bore looked like, but it does still run, so I'll probably keep it together for that purpose. I would not try to use this engine on something like a generator that you plan on running for hours and hours and hours, but it might make for like a good mini bike engine or something along those lines. It's kind of heavy for a mini bike. Generally, you know, for 6 horsepower, you can get something about 1/3 the weight of this, but we'll see. I'll throw it up in the stash and, you know, we'll see it in a future video. Parts getting picked off of it or whatever. Or if we find another one and it needs parts, highly doubt. But, all right, guys. With that, I'm going to sign off. Thank you all for hanging out and wrenching with me and trying to figure out oddball stuff. And put your opinions down below. Which came first? Was it the chicken or the egg? Did the thing already have a failure and it was put away? Was drawing power and it caused that? It was overheated. Maybe somebody tried drawing too much power off of it. Or my cement head and I screwed it up by not being aware that it started to break loose, and when the first spark started coming out of it that there was an issue. I'm going with the latter. All right guys, with that, I'll see you later.